Hello everyone, welcome back again to my channel. So guys, in today's video I'll be showing you how to cut and sew Dolman dress with drawstring waistline. If this is what you are interested in learning, keep watching. So guys, I will use this paper as an illustration on how I folded my fabric. My fabric is folded into four. Okay, so now my paper is folded into two. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and fold it again, making it four fold. All right, so after folding it into four, so the side that has no opening will be the center fold. Okay, and the other side has opening. I went ahead to rule out a starting point. Okay, and then place my tape to take my shoulder measurement. So the measurement I'm using for my shoulder is 7.5, which is 15 inches. And from that point right there, I'll go ahead and take my sleeve length measurement. So you have to place your tape at your shoulder to determine how deep or how long you want your shoulder to be. So after marking your shoulder length, just go ahead and add 1 inches or 1.5 inches for your sleeve hemming allowance. The next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and take my vertical lines. So now I'm going to use my bust point as my armhole measurement. Okay, the bust point I'm using is 10.5. That will serve as my armhole as well. Then I'll just use my ruler to connect the dots together. After doing that, I'll also go ahead and take my waistline measurement and take my hip line measurement. So my waistline is 17 inches and my hip is 24 inches. So after doing that, I'll connect the lines together as well. Moving on to the next step, I went ahead and adjust my fabric so that I'll be able to chalk out my full length measurement. So the full length measurement I'm using is 37 inches plus 1 inches folding allowance, which is 38 inches. So just go ahead and repeat the same length at this other side right here, and then mark out my full length and connect them together just as seen. Moving on to the next step, I went ahead and placed my tape at the center fold and mark out 21 inches. So the 21 inches is for the shoulder measurement and the sleeve measurement. So I'll also go ahead and place it at the bust point and mark it right there and use my ruler to connect them together. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and take my sleeve opening measurement. Okay, in my own case I'm going to maintain my 10.5 inches bust point as my sleeve opening and then added 1 inches for seam allowance. So the next thing I went ahead to do is to take my my bust measurement is 9.7 inches. Then I added 2 inches allowance for ease and also went ahead and add 1 inches seam allowance. Then for my waistline, I also did the same thing. My waistline is 8 inches and then add 2 inches for ease as well and 1 inches for seam allowance. So on my hip line, I'll also do the same thing right there. I will input my hip measurement and add 2 inches for ease, and again add 1 inches for seam allowance. So I'll just go ahead and place my tape at my hip measurement. Whatsoever I have right there, I will use it to measure my full length measurement as well. And then use my ruler to connect them together. So to connect all the lines together, from my bust point I came down by 2 inches. Then I will just use my chalk to connect it together like this. I came down by 2 inches to avoid too much curve at the armhole area. And then from my waistline I'm going to connect it to meet my hip. So guys, from this edge right here, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches, just like this, and use my hand to make a curve right here like that. So guys, for my neck width, I'm going to mark 2.7 inches for my width, and then for the depth I'm going to mark 1.5 inches for the back measurement. Okay, the front depth will be different from the back depth. Okay, so I'm using 3 inches for the front depth. Then I'll just go ahead and use my ruler to connect the lines together to make a curve. This is the back neckline and this is the front neckline. Take my shoulder slant, okay, which is 1 inches right here. Then I'm going to connect it to meet the neckline. So guys, we finished drafting and this is all for the drafting of this dress. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut out the neckline. So remember, this is the center, the front one. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the main fabric right now. I went ahead and add half an inch to my shoulder slant for joining allowance. This is all for the cutting guys. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and measure 1 inches from my waistline upward, just like this, and then notch that place. So the reason why I notch 1 inches above my waistline is because I don't want my drawstring to be too low. So I'll just go ahead now and remove one of my fabric, okay, which is the back. Now I'm left with the front fabric, okay. So I'll just go ahead now and arrange it properly. So just make sure you arrange very well and all the lines are aligning together, and after doing that, just pin down your fabric. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and take my neck measurement for my front opening. So I'm using 8 inches for my front opening, and then use my ruler to make a triangle line just like this as shown. So at the front center front right there, I have half an inch. Then I'll just go ahead and use my scissors to cut it out. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and cut out my front interfacing. So make sure your fabric is unfold, and I also cut out the back interfacing as well. So guys, the next thing I went ahead to do is to place my fabric on my table, then place my interfacing together as well, right side facing each other. So just make sure they are well arranged, and then go ahead and stitch down with 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, then flip it to the wrong side. So you also go ahead and do the back side also like that. So guys, I have joined them together. This is what it looks like, though I haven't ironed them. So this is what it looks like after stitching them together. Also did the same thing to the back. Okay, I did the same thing to the back. This is the back right now. Okay, I will not iron it as well, so I just weave it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and place the back pattern. This is the back right, this is the back. I also go ahead and take the front and place it together like this. I'm going to place it, then stitch down the shoulder together. Okay, I'm going to place it like this. This is the two interfacing, and place it down like this and join the two shoulder together, right side facing each other. So I'm going to join it straight down like this. I've ironed out my neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and use my Emmy gum to gum them together, or you can run a stitch with your machine. After ironing it out, this is how it looked like at the right side. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and hem my sleeve opening just like this. Okay, I'm going to fold it twice. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do now, from that point I notched earlier at the waistline, so I'm going to use my ruler to make a straight line. just use my ruler and my chalk to connect it together like this, so that when I'm sewing down my drawstring, it will be easy for me to sew. So I'm going to do the same thing to the back side. Okay, so I'm just going to roll out a straight line and connect them together. Now I went ahead and cut out fabric for the flap at the front. So my width of my flap is 6 inches and the length is 9 inches. So I'm going to fold it over like this. So I'm going to stitch down this area and the down part, leaving the upper part behind so that I'll be able to turn it over to the right side. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I have two pieces of that. So for my sleeve strap, I went ahead and cut out 9.5 inches for the length and then 2 inches for the width. So I'm going to fold it just like this and stitch down with my sewing machine. So I have two pieces of this. I also went ahead and cut out long strap for my fabric for the drawstring, and then the width I'm using is 2 inches. So I folded it like bias strip just like this. So this is how it looks like after ironing it out. So I also went ahead and cut out my rope for the waistline. So just double your waistline measurement and add extra inches to it. I have sewn my flap at the front. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and measure 3 inches downward from my waistline. So the 3 inches is where I will place my flap, and also went ahead and measure 3 inches from the center point. So I'm going to place my flap like this and then stitch it down. So after stitching it down, so this is what it will look like. So just make sure you rule out your measurement to know where you are going to place it. So then stitch down like this, and I'll also do the same thing to the other side. Measure 3 inches from the center, and from the waistline also went ahead and measure 3 inches. And then place the flap just like this. And after doing that, just make sure you pin them down before you take it over to your sewing machine and stitch that, to avoid sewing it at the wrong place. Just make sure you pin down, okay? So guys, to fix my sleeve strap, I went ahead and measure 10 inches from my neckline. I just mark a point right there and place my strap right like this and pin down. So after sewing it, I'm going to flip it over like this. So this is what it will look like. So I'm going to do the same thing at the other side. So measure 10 inches from your neckline, mark a point right there and place your strap and pin it down. So take it over to the sewing machine and stitch down. So guys, after doing that, now to fix my strap where my drawstring will be, so from that line I mark out, I'm going to place my strap like this. So this is the reason why I mark out the line, so that it will be very easy for me to stitch down. Okay, so I'm going to stitch it down first before I join the two sides together. It will be very easy for me to do like this. So just make sure you mark out 1 inches for your seam allowance. Okay, if you don't want to do this, you can also go ahead and join your two sides of your fabric together and then come back to sew down your strap. But I think it's very easy like this. Okay, so if you check out this video, I left 1 inches at the side for the joining allowance. So I'm going to stitch this upper part right here and also stitch down. So you see I left half an inch, sorry, 1 inches for the joining allowance. So I've done that, and then I'm going over now to the sewing machine and stitch down the two sides together. So I'm going to start from the sleeve area. Just use my 1 inches seam allowance to stitch it down just like this, and also do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to stitch it down as shown. So guys, I've joined the two sides together. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring out my strap, the remaining one, and place it at the line, and do the same thing to the other side. So at the edge, I'm going to fold it like this downward. Okay, so that I will have space to fix my rope. Okay, so I'm going to pin down my strap. Remember, you've already sewn down the back and the front sides together. Just make sure you raise up your front fabric like this and pin down, so that when stitching down your strap you won't have problem. So guys, you just have to be careful while pinning this together. And while pinning, just make sure everything is arranged.